All right, 8th grade, this is a video over point of view. If you're watching this, you should have already been on Edmodo. You should have seen the Foldable, which is what this is. You should have printed it out. You need a pencil and you need a pair of scissors. And, later on you might can use some glue in your composition book as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So we have 5 different points of view. We have first person, second person, third person objective, third person limited, and third person omniscient. So what I'm going to do is read a little sample from some different texts, and what you need to do is to try to see if you can determine what point of view is being used in this particular excerpt. So I'm just going to set this iPad down for a minute. And I'm going to go ahead and read aloud from the first one. This one's from a book called Stolen by Lucy Christopher. You saw me before I saw you. In the airport that day in August, you had that look in your eyes as though you wanted something from me, as though you'd wanted it for a long time. No one had ever looked at me like that before, with that kind of intensity. It unsettled me, surprised me, I guess. Those blue, blue eyes, icy blue, looking back at me as if I could warm them up. They're pretty powerful, you know, those eyes. Pretty beautiful, too. You blinked quickly when I looked at you and turned away, as if you were nervous, as if you felt guilty for checking out some random girl in an airport. But I wasn't random, was I? And it was a good act. I fell for it. It's funny, but I always thought I could trust blue eyes. I thought they were safe somehow. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. I want you to take a minute and look over the different points of view that you have the option of choosing and see if you can figure out what point of view this story is written in. All right, ready to guess? It shouldn't be a guess. You should just know. What was the word that you noticed most of all? You should have heard you, your. She mentioned that a lot of different times. And so the word most commonly used in second person is that word your. So totally skipped a step earlier, I just noticed now, of cutting out this outside white edge that you had and of folding the paper. I'm sure you can probably figure it out now. And then you just need to cut each of these flaps over. So the cutting and folding is not nearly as important as listening and writing down the correct notes. So let's make sure and take care of this part. All right, so second person. So what we're going to do is fold this part over, and you are going to be on this flap writing down the basically the criteria for this point of view and then the example that I give to you. So this one uses you in it a lot because it is the narrator addressing the audience directly. Okay, and then down here below we can put example. This book, Stolen. Remember what to do with titles of books when we're writing them out. Always underline. Italicize if you're typing. Okay, and then we also know that this is popular in speeches and definitely in cartoons, especially like Dora. Okay, so second person, you're definitely going to see the word you because the speaker is addressing the audience. Okay, I'm going to set this down again, and now I want you to listen to the second excerpt. The children ran out to the road and climbed into the bus. Fern took no notice of the others in the bus. She just sat and stared out of the window, thinking what a blissful world it was and how lucky she was to have entire charge of a pig. By the time the bus reached school, Fern had named her pet, selecting the most beautiful name she could think of. Okay, so that's from one part of the book, and I'm going to go ahead and skip through, and then here is from a different section of it. Same book, just a different part. One afternoon in June, when Wilbur was almost 2 months old, he wandered out into his small yard outside the barn. Fern had not arrived for her usual visit. Wilbur stood in the sun, feeling lonely and bored. There's never anything to do around here, he thought. He walked slowly to his food trough and sniffed to see if anything had been overlooked at lunch. Okay, so 2 parts from the same book. Think about what you noticed and see if you can figure out what point of view this one is. All right, so if you guessed third person omniscient, you're absolutely correct. This one's from Charlotte's Web. And so we can get into Fern's mind, we can get into Wilbur's mind, and then later on in the story, you can get into Charlotte's mind too. And so because you can read pretty much all of the main characters' minds, this one is called third person omniscient. And we know that the root omni means all. So go ahead and write that down in the front. Okay, so if you'll fold this over like this. Okay, so we know that with third person omniscient, we are able to get inside at least all the main characters' minds. So all main characters' minds can be read. Make sure you put the apostrophe after the S, not before it. If you put it before it, you're telling me you have one character, but that's not the case. So all main characters' minds are read. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put Charlotte's Web as our example for this one. And same thing, the title of the book, we're going to go ahead and underline that thing. Okay, great. Okay, you know the drill. This is your third excerpt. It was almost December, and Jonas was beginning to be frightened. No, wrong word, Jonas thought. Frightened meant that deep, sickening feeling of something terrible about to happen. Frightened was the way he had felt a year ago when an unidentified aircraft had overflown the community twice. He had seen it both times. Okay, I'm not going to keep going further. We've pretty much all read this book. You know it as The Giver. We read it in 7th grade. And so if you'll really think about what you know about the book already and in that part that I read, you should know exactly what point of view it's written in. So see if you can take a few seconds and go ahead and write down your answer. All right, third person limited, that's what I say too. Why? Why is it third person limited? Well, because the focus is limited to pretty much just Jonas. He's really the only one whose minds we can get inside of. He's really the only one of the main characters who are able to understand what he's thinking, as well as what he's doing. So with third person limited, it is limited to one. Go ahead and underline that one too. And this is from the Three Little Wolves and the Big Bad Pig. Once upon a time, there were 3 cuddly little wolves with soft fur and fluffy tails who lived with their mother. Their first was black, the second was gray, and the third was white. One day the mother called the 3 little wolves around her and said, "My children, it is time for you to go out into the world. Go and build a house for yourselves, but beware of the big bad pig." "Don't worry, Mother, we will watch out for him," said the 3 little wolves, and they set off. Soon they met a kangaroo who was pushing a wheelbarrow full of red and yellow bricks. "Please, will you give us some of your bricks?" asked the 3 little wolves. "Certainly," said the kangaroo, and she gave them lots of red and yellow bricks. So the 3 little wolves built themselves a house of bricks. Okay, I'm going to stop there. So were we able to see what anybody was really thinking or feeling? I mean, there was a lot of talk. There was some action. Not a whole lot of anything else. And so this, like most children's books, and here's what this one looks like. Most children's books are written in third-person objective because it's a little bit more simple for the younger kids to understand that way. As long as they keep it basic, they can pretty much comprehend that. You know, as you get to be a more advanced reader and writer, you're going to want to add in definitely those thoughts, feelings, emotions, make it more advanced. So for this one, the characters object. Remember, it's third-person objective. They object to having their minds read. So characters object to any mind reading. So we only know what they say, what they do. That's it. Object to any mind reading. Okay, so down here for our example, we'll just put basic picture books. All right, so that leaves us with first person. We've done second person, third person, third person, third. Okay, so first person. I really don't think that I even have to give you an example of this. You all know this one. This is probably the first time you learn. It's one that you resort back to. It's one that's the most popular. First person is when you're going to use the word I. You are the one telling the story. You're the one acting in the story. We definitely know what you think, what you feel, what you're doing, what you're saying. I mean, we pretty much know everything about you. Okay, so we're going to see the word I in there. And it is, we know the narrator. We know the narrator's thoughts, feelings, actions, and words. Okay, so what I'm going to do is challenge you to finish this foldable off by coming up with an example of first person point of view that you can think of. So go ahead and write that down when you have it. I want you to bring this with you to school on Thursday. Bring it with you to class, preferably if you'll just do the whole ... with the glue thing, stick it in your composition book, and then we're going to add to it that day. So any questions? Try Edmodo, try klaws at lcisd.net. Don't wait till class Thursday. It's too late then. All right, see you then.